What if the greatest financial revolution of our time was not created by politicians, banks, or governments, but by code? What if the roots of that revolution stretched back over a century to a school of thought ignored by mainstream economists, but vindicated every time a financial crisis unfolded? That school is Austrian economics, and its warnings about inflation, intervention, and unsound money have come alive in our era of endless money printing. But Austrian thinkers like Ludwig von Mises and Friedrich Hayek could never have imagined the weapon humanity now has to fight back: Bitcoin. Today, we explore why Bitcoin is more than technology. It is philosophy made real. It is the living embodiment of Austrian economic principles. And together, they offer not just an alternative to fiat, but a blueprint for freedom. Key Austrian ideas: Mises on inflation and sound money. To understand Bitcoin's alliance with Austrian economics, we must first revisit what the Austrian school stood for. In the early 20th century, Ludwig von Mises wrote that inflation is not just a rise in prices, it is a hidden tax, a distortion of reality. When governments print money, they do not create wealth. They steal purchasing power from savers and shift it to themselves. Inflation, Mises argued, was a form of robbery and one of the most destructive forces in society. Friedrich Hayek built on this, warning that central planning of money leads to tyranny. In his book, The Denationalization of Money, Hayek imagined a world where governments no longer had monopoly control over currency. He believed competition between monies would protect freedom and unleash true economic innovation. At the heart of Austrian thought are two simple but radical principles. Sound money. Money should hold its value over time. Voluntary exchange. Markets, not governments, should decide how people trade. The Austrians were ignored for decades, dismissed as fringe thinkers. But each crisis from the Great Depression to 2008 proved their warnings right. The tragedy was always the same. Central banks inflate, governments intervene, markets distort, and ordinary people suffer. Now, more than a century after Mises, Bitcoin arrives as the practical solution the Austrians dreamed of. Bitcoin as voluntary exchange made real. Austrian economics insists that markets must be voluntary. No coercion, no artificial manipulation, just individuals choosing freely. Bitcoin takes this principle and encodes it directly into money itself. Consider how Bitcoin works. No central bank sets its supply. The code fixes it at 21 million. No politician can print more to fund wars or bailouts. No banker can exclude you because of your identity or nationality. Bitcoin is voluntary exchange in its purest form. Anyone with an internet connection can participate. No permission required. No gatekeepers. This is not an accident. Satoshi Nakamoto designed Bitcoin as a rebellion against the coercion of fiat. In the very first block, Satoshi embedded a headline: "Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks." A reminder that fiat money is not neutral, it is a tool of intervention, constantly used to rescue the powerful at the expense of the people. Bitcoin eliminates that intervention. Its rules apply equally to all. It doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or a farmer in a remote village. One Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. The market decides its value, not a central authority. This is what Mises and Hayek fought for: money that serves the individual, not the state. Bitcoin is not just compatible with Austrian economics. It is Austrian economics written in code, fiat's distortions versus Bitcoin's neutrality. Now let's contrast Bitcoin's neutrality with fiat's distortions. Fiat money is inherently political. Governments use it to manipulate economies for short-term gain. Central banks slash interest rates to stimulate spending. They print money to cover deficits, devalue currencies to gain trade advantages. Each intervention creates distortions, booms, busts, bubbles, and crises. The Austrians explained this long ago. When governments artificially expand credit, they send false signals to the market. Businesses invest in projects that appear profitable under cheap money, but collapse when reality catches up. This is the Austrian theory of the business cycle, and it perfectly describes the bubbles we see today, from housing to stocks to sovereign debt. Bitcoin does not play that game. Its supply cannot be inflated. Its rules cannot be bent. It sends one clear signal: scarcity, and scarcity forces discipline. Investors, entrepreneurs, and savers must make real decisions under Bitcoin. There are no bailouts, no endless printing, no safety nets for reckless speculation. This neutrality is not cold, it is liberating, because neutrality restores trust. It tells the market, the rules will not change tomorrow. Plan accordingly. When the rules are stable, markets stabilize. When money is honest, trust flourishes. That is why Bitcoin's neutrality is not just technical, it is philosophical. It removes the distortions of fiat and replaces them with truth. Long-term freedom, economic liberty through code. The ultimate alliance between Bitcoin and Austrian economics lies in their shared vision of freedom. The Austrians believed economic liberty was the foundation of all liberty. If the state controls your money, it controls your life. It can inflate your savings away. It can deny you access to trade. It can trap you in cycles of dependence. Bitcoin breaks that control. It gives you direct ownership of your wealth. No bank can freeze it. No government can inflate it. No institution can decide when or how you use it. That sovereignty is more than financial, it is psychological. It restores dignity to individuals who have lived under systems designed to exploit them. It makes you a free actor in the market, not a pawn in someone else's plan. And because Bitcoin is code, its freedom is not theoretical. It is guaranteed by math, not politics. Politicians can lie, central bankers can manipulate, but Bitcoin's algorithm does not bend. 21 million, that's it, forever. This is the Austrian dream, realized. Money that cannot be corrupted, trade that cannot be coerced, liberty that cannot be revoked. To see why this alliance matters, look at where fiat has brought us. Trillions in government debt, inflation rates not seen in decades, entire generations priced out of housing, drowning in student loans, struggling to survive in economies built on manipulation. Every Austrian warning has come true. Mises warned that fiat would create cycles of boom and bust. We see it. Hayek warned that centralized money would erode freedom. We feel it. Bitcoin is the answer to these warnings. It is not just a hedge against inflation. It is a rejection of the entire fiat paradigm. It says, no more lies, no more theft, no more manipulation. By adopting Bitcoin, individuals and eventually nations can step off the treadmill of distortion and onto a foundation of truth. Toward a freer future, the philosophical alliance. So what happens if Bitcoin and Austrian economics truly unite? We get a system where money is sound, where markets are free, where wealth is earned, not printed, where governments cannot wage endless wars by debasing their currency. We get a civilization that values long-term growth over short-term fixes, where entrepreneurs innovate not because of cheap credit, but because of real opportunity, where savers are rewarded, not punished, where freedom is not granted from above, but built from below. This is the philosophical alliance. Austrian economics provided the theory, Bitcoin provides the practice. Together, they form a weapon against tyranny and a path toward liberty. The question is whether we will embrace it, or whether we will cling to a system of inflation, distortion, and dependence until it collapses. Time preference, from fiat addiction to Bitcoin discipline. One of the most important insights from Austrian economics is the idea of time preference. Mises and later Rothbard explained that when money is unsound, people are pushed into short-term thinking. Why save if inflation eats your wealth? Why plan carefully if tomorrow's money is weaker than today's? Fiat forces society into a state of impatience. Consume now, borrow now, live for the present because the future feels uncertain. This distortion shows up everywhere. Individuals pile up debt, corporations chase quarterly profits, and governments promise benefits they cannot fund. High time preference becomes the default culture, and with it comes instability, fragility, and stress. Bitcoin flips this dynamic. With a fixed supply and long-term certainty, it rewards low time preference, the discipline to think in decades, not days. Holders begin to save, rather than spend recklessly. Entrepreneurs plan sustainably, rather than gamble on cheap credit. Families invest in education, health, and legacy because they trust that the value they store today will still be there tomorrow. This shift from short-term desperation to long-term vision is not just economic, it's civilizational. It creates calmer individuals, stronger communities, and freer nations. Fiat breeds anxiety and consumption. Bitcoin fosters patience and creation. And patience, as the Austrians knew, is the foundation of prosperity. Bitcoin is not an accident. It is not speculation. It is the living child of Austrian thought, born at the exact moment when the world needed it most. Fiat tells you, trust us. Austrian economics told you, don't. And Bitcoin proves you don't have to. The choice is before us. Stay in the cycle of manipulation or step into a system of honesty. Accept the theft of inflation or claim the sovereignty of sound money. Live as pawns of intervention or as free actors in a global, voluntary market. Bitcoin is more than digital gold. It is Austrian economics with teeth. Philosophy you can hold in your hand, liberty you can store in a wallet. If you believe freedom is more than a slogan, If you believe money should serve people, not rulers, then this is not just another video. This is your call to action. Subscribe, join the movement, and stay with us on this journey. Because the future of money is not planned, it is free. And it will not be printed, it will be mined.